Hello, it's Stacy. I mentioned yesterday that I'll be jumping on and doing a live every day with you guys for the next 30 days. And today I just want to spend a little bit of time on why I can even talk about this, where I learned everything that I'm sharing with you from, and how it's going to make such a major difference in your world that I wish I had this 20 years ago. So basically, let's see, I keep saying 25 years, but then the years keep passing. But at this point, 25 plus years I spent doing change management, process improvement, project management at big companies like Ernst & Young and PricewaterhouseCoopers for some of the largest organizations in the world. I worked with Google, I worked with the United States government, I worked with the state of California. And I was basically brought in, my teams and I came in to identify what is it that they could be doing to do something better. Either they got a demand from Congress to fix it, or they got funding to start something brand new they've never done before, or they wanted to get more strategic about how they're using their time and energy and resources. So over the course of all of these projects that I did, you're approaching projects in the same way. You're using the same methodology for every project, no matter what the project is. So whether it's implementing an IT system or standing up the Center of Excellence for Psychological Health and Traumatic Brain Injury for the Department of Defense, all of which I've done, and everything in between, it's what is it that the desired outcome is? What is the actual impact the organization or individual wants to achieve? And then what's it going to take to get there? And there's things like what we can call scope, which is what is the stuff that you do to be able to get there? What is the boundaries of where you want to be able to put that result in time? Because you could do a lot of different things, but unless you put some boundaries around exactly where you're going to focus, you can end up all over the place. So it's defining the boundaries of what you're really going to be paying attention to and focusing on. It's setting schedules and timelines around when do you need it done by, and looking at funding, right? Resources and funding the budget for doing it. And we're taking those three things into account as we determine what is it that you want to do, what resources do you have to do that, when does it need to get done by, and then it's how do you go about doing it. And so much of it is really what do you do during that time that's going to be moving the needle, right? So in your own personal life, if you think about a day as a project, what is it that you're trying to move the needle on? What is it that you're trying to actually accomplish? And then looking at what's it going to take to get there, and then looking at what are you actually doing. So are your activities or are the things that you're spending time on actually going to move the needle, or is it actually going to take away from being able to do that? And so over the course of decades, doing that with companies, in my own life, I was working 50, 60-hour weeks. Yeah, at the time when I first started creating my own methodology to help individuals make change, was doing it for myself, like as the guinea pig of, I needed more time in my life. I needed to be able to have more of a life than just work, and wasn't delivering on that in my own world. I was working a ton. I had two little ones. I had a stepdaughter in high school. My husband at the time was in law school full time. So packed life, a lot of responsibility. And I thought, if I can get the United States government to change, there's got to be a way to get my own life to change. So that's when I started focusing on how can I apply this stuff that we do in all these different projects to my own self, and just pretend that I was a client, pretend that I was like a company paying millions of dollars for my support to myself. And what it really comes down to are pretty simple, basic things. So over the next 30 days, when I come on and do lives with you, I'll be sharing something each day of what it is that you can be doing to get to that focus, to be able to get to how you're spending your time, with the objective being really looking at where's your time going? And do you even want it to go there? And what's the impact of your time going there? What are you missing out on? What are the things you don't get to do because your time is used somewhere else? And I could do, 24 hours a day on this and always have more to talk about. But I'm going to hit the specific things, one each day, that you can really dial in on, with the objective of, let's get you 10 hours a week back. Let's identify what you're doing that you can take 10 hours of your life back. Stop doing 10 hours worth of stuff. Start doing the things that's going to deliver the result that you want, and be able to pick and choose where you spend that rest of that 10 hours. So today, I wanted to introduce the topic of where I'm going with this, why I have the experience from my career doing this with big companies, changing it to how do you do that as an individual, and really practicing getting that same level of clarity on what is the outcome you want, what's going to deliver that outcome, and stop doing the things that don't. Because once I started doing that for myself, that's when everything changed. I've always been a personal development junkie. I've, Tony Robbins, Franklin Covey, Dean Graziosi, you name it, Brene Brown, all those great ideas of things that you can be doing and get excited about, but then it comes down to applying it to your own life. So I took the principles of project management, process improvement, and change management into, here's all the great stuff we want to do in our own lives, and put them together of what matters really, how do we identify how to fit it into our world, and then making the space for that and clearing out all the stuff that isn't going to deliver that experience. So that's just a heads up of what to look forward to. And for today, all I want you to do is, if you would love to have 10 hours of your life back every week to be able to choose how you want to use that time versus life choosing for you, just put in the comments, just put 10 hours. And when you type 10 hours in there, I'll reach out to you and give you some extra tips on exactly what you can do to make that happen. So bye for now, and I will see you tomorrow.